Hey guys, welcome back to PAC Talk with me, your host, Vodden. I'm here today with my friend, Paul Fetters. Hey, Paul.
Hey.
Paul lives up here in Idlewild and is a member of the Ferris Idlewild Gym and has actually just joined our team up here, is helping us out up here. And it's a huge privilege because Paul has been in the industry for a very long time. He was a professional bodybuilder in the 80s and 90s, working out of Gold's Gym in Venice, the Gold's Gym in Venice. He's part of that kind of golden era and just after the golden era of bodybuilders with a ton of knowledge, a ton of experience, owned multiple gyms in Orange County, has a nutritional business, the whole shindig. So to have him up here is a real kind of like special privilege for us. So I'm thrilled that he's with us. And, we've had many conversations together and he's just a fascinating guy with a great history. And as you guys know, I've talked about it on the podcast many times. I love that era of bodybuilding. I kind of love that classic bodybuilding era and all the stories that come out of it. And I honestly think the physiques that came out of that era are still the best physiques that ever existed. I love talking about it. So I wanted to get Paul on the podcast today, A, just to introduce him to you guys because he's a great guy, but B, because I just want to have this like super fun conversation about what it was like training back then, training methodology. We'll talk about steps, we'll talk about reps, we'll talk about training frequency. We'll talk about the vibe and how it was, and then we'll get into Paul's business escapades and all that good stuff. But first of all, Paul, hey, welcome to the podcast. Great to have you.
Thank you.
Let's go back like right from the beginning because I know you weren't born in California, and the mission to like the dream that you followed to go to Venice Beach and become a bodybuilder was the dream that many people had at that time, and you lived it and you did it. So how did that all kind of come about?
Well, we're talking about a lot of years. I'll try to make it a long story into a short story. Just so real quick. So I discovered weight training when I was about 12 years old. So I grew up with 7 siblings. So there's 6 boys and 2 girls, and 4 of the boys are older than I am. And in our basement in Michigan, there was a wrestling mat, there was boxing gloves, and there was a weight set. Because my dad was an amazing athlete. He was an All-American lacrosse player at Maryland University. And all of our toys in the yard were unicycles and stilts and ropes and everything to pump up athleticism.
Right.
So it's funny because I had a brother that turned into an amateur boxer, very successful. My dad was 6'4". I'm about 5'7" on a tall day. So my younger brother is 6'4", got into semi-pro basketball. So everyone kind of found their space. And mine was, I remember vividly grabbing that bar at 12 years old and thinking like, wow, this felt right.
Yeah, this is for me. Yeah.
And I prided myself on being stronger than all of my friends in the neighborhood. So it's that's how it started. And I just lift because I enjoyed it. And I remember asking my older brothers, hey, can you show me what to do? And they're like, we're not going to bother with you. You're probably not serious. And then they saw me down there literally every single day. And they went, okay, finally one of them said, we're going to show you some stuff to do. And that brother ended up going off to war, went to Vietnam, came back 4 years later. Now I'm 16 years old, and he comes in and he looks at me after 4 years of training. He's like, holy cow, you really stuck with this, because I started showing signs of being muscular, and I just really enjoyed that. So 19 years old, I was training in a gym, and the gym owner said to me, hey, you should really think about competing. And I'm like, I don't know what that involves. He goes, well, let me help you. So I was always pretty lean, so he helped me. We picked a show, and I remember I went home and I cut out pictures of different poses from bodybuilders and put it all together. And this was going to be my posing routine back in the day when there was terrible lighting. You're in a gymnasium stage. There's no music. It's just you up on the stage. So the funny thing is it turned out to be a statewide competition, which is not recommended for a novice.
Right.
I remember the first guy that took off his sweats. I was like, I'm out of here. He was so huge. I started putting my sweats on. I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
And my buddies are like, no. He's just a freak. He's like, look at the rest of us competing. Let's just do this. So I did. And I realized when I got on stage that felt very natural to me. And I really enjoyed it.
Oh, really?
I really did. When I walked off stage, I was like, there's guys backstage literally throwing up because they're afraid to get on stage.
That stage fright. Yeah.
When I got off stage, I was like, wow, that was very empowering. The crowd got good response.
You're 19 at this point, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they had 5 places that they gave, and the top 4 were guys like that first guy I saw. They were just like light years ahead of us. So there was like 10 of us trying to get that 5th place. And my buddies are like, hey, you did great. Don't worry about it if you don't place. Well, I won that 5th place.
Oh, nice.
And I got about a 3-foot trophy. And back in those days, they gave awards for most muscular, best legs, whatever.
Right.
And I'm backstage. I'm not thinking anything of it. And they go, best poser was Paul Fetters. And I was like, what? And I went out there and I got this trophy for being the best poser.
And that was just from copying the photographs?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just like doing these and practicing,
Yeah.
And when I went down afterwards to the audience, because the show's over, so many people came up and just said, well, you should really think about doing this.
Oh, wow.
And I said,
wait, what year is this?
In 1977.
So this is, had Pumping Iron come out at that point or not?
No,
it right? No, it was right before, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was a big deal for me. And I literally went home and I told my parents, I said, if I'm going to do this, I need to move to California.
Right. Yeah.
And,
Wait, how did you know that? Because pre Pumping Iron, like where was the
muscle magazines?
Yeah. They were all coming out of California.
I lived in his muscle magazines. And reading about Mike Mentzer and Tom Platz and all these guys, and Arnold, obviously, Franco Colombo.
And they were all in California at that point. That was the hub.
Yes.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, Arnold's last Olympia win was in 1997. Or 1975, excuse me.
Right, before he came back in 1980.
Right. So when I was 17 in 1975, I visited California, and I wanted to go to Gold's Gym. I walk in the front door, and guess who's walking towards me a month away from his 1975 Olympia win? It was Arnold.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, oh, my God. I mean, just such an impression. If you can imagine that he was in his absolute prime. And again, a month away from the show, so just ripped and just amazing, and super gregarious, like treated me like I was one of his buddies. And I went home and I'm like, yeah, I got to do this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's kind of a fun story. So
that's when you moved to California.
Well, so then I competed that one time in 77 at 19 years old, and then I left.
And then you left. Yeah. And did you have a job lined up or anything?
Oh, no. I think I had about $800 and everything I owned in my car. And Gold's is cool because Gold's, to this day still, there's people, they come from all over the world to train there. And Gold's knows that. So they're like, hey, you can use our shower. You can stay in our parking lot so you can find a place to stay, or you can stay at these hotels, or these people rent rooms. They just really help you.
Right.
So I literally was homeless for about 2 weeks. I lived in my car.
Oh,
I trained at the gym. I mean, the first thing I did, I drove right off the freeway to the gym, paid $165 for a 1-year membership, and started training. I was happy as can be.
That's awesome.
And it took me. I mean, I was so broke by the time I got a job that I had to ask my employer to give me an advance on my first paycheck just to eat.
What was your first job?
It was working at a plastics retail store, and that was just any job I could get. It was paid $5 an hour.
Yeah.
And I didn't care.
No.
This is 1980. Because I would train at 6 in the morning. I would work that job from 8 to 5, and then I'd go back at 6 o'clock at night.
And train again.
Yeah. And I did that for a number of years until I discovered personal training.
Because that was very common right now back then, and anybody that's watched like the Arnold stuff from back in the day, like that was common to train twice a day, like morning and evening, and at that kind of high frequency, high volume style of training. Do you think that was smart?
Probably
like, looking
not.
back, do you think it was?
Probably not, because no one knew much about nutrition.
Right.
That wasn't a conversation, and we didn't really ever discuss recovery.
Right.
You were sore all the time because you're training like a beast. Right?
Yeah.
And so, no, we probably overtrained quite a bit.
Probably overtrained.
Yeah.
And did you deal with any kind of like, I just know that now if I do that kind of frequency, I'm probably going to get some tendonitis. I'm probably going to get some like issues. Did you have issues, or were you just young enough that it didn't matter?
So I always talk about that I was happy that I survived to my 20s.
Right.
Because not only did we overtrain, but we trained so heavy too.
Yeah.
And honestly, I didn't have injuries, and I can knock on wood for that. That was
right.
I think genetically, I was lucky that way. And also, there was always a side of me of wanting to do this as a career. Like, I want to do this until I can't. So because I love the training. I mean, there's bodybuilders that actually did not like the training and just loved competing. I was the opposite. I competed because it was something to do because I loved training.
Right, exactly.
I knew very early
It
in
gave
my
us
life.
some sense of purpose.
I was the happiest when I was in the gym.
Yeah.
And I had to figure out a way to make a living in the gym.
When you were in that gym back then, was it there was like ordinary people as well, right? But was it like is it the same Gold's then as it is now? Because I know Gold's didn't move, right? Because there was the original Gold's facility that's in Pumping Iron, but that's not the same as the one that exists now.
No,
right?
there was.
It moved down the street.
So it went from Venice to Santa Monica, back to Venice.
Okay.
Yeah, and I came in the year in 1980 when they left Santa Monica and they put it back in Venice in this big warehouse.
Is that where it is now?
Yeah, it's where it is now.
Yeah.
And there weren't any regular people. I mean,
it was just bodybuilders.
It was all bodybuilders. It was amateurs trying to become professionals. It was professionals trying to make a living.
What was that vibe like?
It was fantastic. Yeah. First of all, you can imagine now I get to see the people that I've looked up to in the magazines.
Yeah, right.
So that whole first year, I bought, for lack of a better word, a tracksuit because they weren't called sweatsuits back then. I kept completely covered for a whole year and just put my nose to the grindstone and trained hard and watched what people did and stayed out of their way because there was a certain etiquette, right? I mean, literally, if you were on a piece of equipment and a professional needed that, and they're getting ready for a show, it doesn't matter if you're mid-set, you get off. You left that machine. Yeah. And so that was just part of learning the culture of what that was like because everyone was so serious. And there were probably maybe only 3 or 4 female bodybuilders, and they were trying to be pros too, so that was impressive. So it wasn't until I would guess probably about 1983 or 84 that the general public started drifting in, the actors started coming in. And so in 83, when I started personal training, that word didn't exist. It was just something that I did. And I was just that guy anyway. I would help people in the gym. But yeah, so that whole year I trained. In 1981, I competed in the California State Championships. And I got second place.
Oh, sure.
And I was so lean because my background is nutrition, part of that, right?
Right.
And the judges came backstage after the prejudging and wanted to see me up close because they had not seen someone that lean before.
Oh, wow.
So even though I didn't win the show, the muscle magazines wanted to do a photo shoot of me the next day in Gold's gym, which means I needed to strip down to my posing trunks, and no one has ever seen me in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
So I have pictures of me. So they're setting up like they always do because they do pictures at Gold's all the time for the muscle magazines. And everyone kind of gathers around like, oh, who are they going to take a picture of today, And I wander over and start stripping down. And everyone was like, I had no idea that I looked like that under that dress.
What gave you that advantage? What were you doing that was so different from everybody else?
Well, so I had started experimenting with my nutrition before ever even competing to see how lean I could get, how long I could stay lean. And the more times I did that, the leaner I could get. And then I was really understanding how to fuel my system properly. And I just nailed it that one time. I mean, I probably dieted for maybe 20% longer than most people. I was ready 2 weeks before the show. And so I could just kind of coast in and just tighten things up. And I just nailed it on that day, And I have kind of a fast metabolism anyway.
Right.
So that was to my advantage. The disadvantage of having that is it's hard to put on muscle.
Right.
So there's a.
So do you think you were just more detailed than other people?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have pictures from that contest of a lot of the pros standing back, just looking at me. Like you could see the surprise on their face. And actually, I got hired from that photo shoot to help Chris Dickerson get ready for the Mr. Olympia, which he won that year.
Oh, wow.
And
so you did his nutrition?
I did his nutrition.
Oh, wow.
And so from then on, I took off. I was like the hottest thing in Gold's Gym at that point. Everybody wanted to help me, help with their
What
nutrition.
was your kind of, because you'll see all kinds of bullshit videos on YouTube about what the guys in that era were doing. Like they'll say, oh, they were actually keto, or oh, they were actually this. But was it just like controlling the macros down to the numbers, like carbohydrates, fats, and proteins? Because I know you were kind of like a balanced guy, right? Every meal has all 3 components. So was your thing like the only thing that really matters is kind of like the overall calories and how that's broken up macronutrient wise, or what were you doing differently from the other guys?
Well, so back then, and even my very first dieting, it was low carbs or 0 carbs for 3 months, which is ridiculous, right? I mean, you suffer, you lose muscle,
Yeah.
You're tired all the it's just miserable. And
Right.
so I remember the first time I did that and really felt bad. I remember looking at a stairway going like, I'm so tired. Like,
Yeah.
and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The worst part was how much muscle you would lose.
Right. Yeah.
Because when your body needs glycogen or energy and it doesn't get it, the other thing it can break down for that
It's
is
muscle.
muscle.
Yeah.
So I realized that that's just got to change. So I started really experimenting and understanding nutrition that I did. I started adding carbohydrates back in and doing it with fruits and vegetables, which was unheard of. Like if I would tell another bodybuilder that this is what I was doing, they're like, no, you're just trying to mess with me. Like,
Right.
You know, and I'm like, no,
it's
honestly,
really-
this is what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of success doing that.
Yeah.
And then it got to a point where I just really needed to understand energy in, energy out, how many times a day, what that looks like. So, you know, it's interesting because the diet industry, people just say, oh, just take calories away.
Yeah.
But in order for me to get lean, I would eat 4 meals a day in the beginning, and then to get leaner, I would eat 5 meals a day, and then to get leaner, I would eat 6 meals a day. Because if I give my body what it needs at every single meal, it no longer needs a reserve.
Right.
So people that eat once a day, of course, their body's going like, oh, I need to hang on to as much as possible because I'm not getting what I need on a regular basis.
Right. So you are increasing the frequency of eating, although you weren't increasing the overall caloric value. You weren't taking in more calories. You were just taking in more frequent meals.
Right. Yeah.
And then the total calories were the same.
And spread it out over time.
Right.
And so
fueling the metabolism.
My metabolism was just like crazy. I mean, I would sweat eating fruit.
Yeah, because you'll and I know a lot of people watching this will have been told like, you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like as long as the daily caloric total is the same, then it doesn't make any difference to like. But you're saying you found that's actually not true. Like the frequency of the meals really made a difference to your body fat percentage.
It does. And again, we're talking pretty extreme. The way I needed to look. I mean, if you're just functioning day to day, you know, at least 3-4 meals a day, try not to snack in between, eat very balanced. But when you're trying to go from even 5% body fat, let's say even 10% to 5%, that's a huge change.
Yeah.
And your body doesn't want to give up body fat at that point.
Right.
So you really have to be on top of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so not only are you dictating when, it's like on the clock. I mean, I want my body to know that, hey, at 10 a.m., it's going to be fed. Yeah. And that there's nothing in between because it needs to digest everything until that next meal.
So let's say you're 6 weeks out from being on stage, and let's say, you know, at the 6 week point, you were maybe taking 3,000 calories?
Yeah, let's say.
And then let's say by the 5th week, how many calories would you be taking in by that 5th week?
Well, I probably
like a week out from competition.
Oh, a week out. Okay. Probably only a third less. Like not as little as you would think. Because again,
so only 2,000, like around that 2,000.
My metabolism as I got leaner was more of a furnace. And so, I mean, I would be eating and I would be thinking about my next food because I couldn't wait to eat that next meal.
Do you think that's why you've had, you know, better health and longevity than most? Because I know a lot of people, you know, they end up suffering because they're basically starving themselves so much by the time they get on stage that the body suffers on the back end and it can't really recover, and then people just like go through this crazy you know, ups and downs. But it sounds as though because you were more intelligent with it and you weren't doing an extreme starvation diet, you were very kind of like progressive and careful with it. Do you think that gave you more longevity, and like you're still in great shape now?
100%.
Yeah.
And a couple of different, I can dictate it a couple of different ways. So that one time that I really went 0 carbs for as long as I could and lost so much muscle, I actually did pretty well in that show, but I was so miserable. Yeah. And I actually ended up having cavities, and I knew that was not good for me. Right. And if I was going to do this, I have to change that. Yeah. So, but there's a lot of people that didn't change. Even if I was telling them and showing them that you could do this, it took a long time for some of these people to really trust that. And I think they suffered more and more and more from that, especially coming off that diet, because even myself, who I like to feel like I have a lot of control of my nutrition, that time that I went 0 carbs, I started eating after that show, and I could not stop. My body was just hoarding everything it could, and it was crazy how quickly I put weight back on. Right. And it was just bad for you. Yeah. So not only am I going to do this often, and I've done 44 shows, by the way, which is like ridiculous. Who does that? And I knew that if I was going to do this and raise 4 children and have my wife and run a business, I needed to not torture them by my choices.
Yeah.
So by eating in a very balanced way, like purposely taking in a certain amount of fat, carbohydrates, and protein with each meal, I never felt bad. My body was changing. The worst thing my wife would say is like, every once in a while, I wish we could just go out for a margarita and some chips, I said, man, just wait an extra month and we'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
But, you just got to have that discipline to do that. But that made such a difference because I wasn't miserable. I wasn't tired. Great training sessions.
You just enjoyed it. You just enjoyed the whole thing.
I did.
Because I know, obviously been around a lot of people that have done it, and a lot of people are so fucking miserable by the time they get on stage. It's just like, it's almost torture. It's like you're just killing yourself to, do something that's meant to be for fun. Like you're not winning a lot of money out of it anyway, unless you're Mr. Olympia, which is like the very, 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 very few. So
that was always the thing too, right? I mean, there's prize money as a pro, but if you're out of the top 5, you're not making anything.
You're not making anything. Yeah. I
mean, I should just have gone out and bought a trophy because it was cheaper and less.
It only makes sense if it's inspiring you to perform better in the gym and to work hard, and like it's a motivational tool. Yeah. If you're just doing it for the sake of damaging yourself, then it's like, well, this is just crazy. It's just almost like sadomasochistic. So it's at this stage, it's like 1983, 1984. You're a personal trainer at this point.
Starting in 83.
Starting in 83.
1983.
And what did personal training look like in 1983? Because I came in, I started like personal training, I guess it was, 2000, early 2000s, I was actually personal training. I've been helping people out before that, but, I'm sure it was a very different experience because in 1983, like you said, it was still kind of a fringe thing, right? Very few people were bodybuilding.
There's me and one other guy at Gold's who's still doing it, by the way, Charles Glass.
Oh, Charles Glass. Yeah. I know that.
So he and I were the very first ones to do that. And it was just a freak thing. This 40-year-old housewife is in the gym looking completely out of place. Now, still early 80s, right? There'd be hardly anybody extra in there besides bodybuilders. And I went up to her one day and I was like, I was watching her doing a movement. I said, can I maybe show you how to do this? She goes, oh my gosh. She goes, I have no idea. Can you help me? I said, I'd be happy to help you. I'm in here every day,
Yeah.
And she goes, no, I seriously, can I hire you to help me? I said, I don't really have time. I train twice a day. I'm working a 40-hour job and I have Tuesdays and Sundays off because I have to work Saturday. And she goes, well, how about if you meet me on Tuesday? I'll be here. She goes, how about if I give you $40 for like an hour of your time? I was like, when do you want me to be here?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I was making $5 an hour.
Yeah.
So I started meeting her every Tuesday and Sunday, and she enjoyed it. And obviously that money for me was just gravy.
Yeah.
And then she said to me, hey, can I bring one of my girlfriends in and can you help her as well? So by the time I had 3 people training 2 or 3 days a week, I was making more money in 9 hours than I was making 40 of that other job.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I got to do this.
Yeah.
So I quit my other job.
Yeah.
And I started doing that. And then it was funny. You could see some of the other trainers, not trainers, but bodybuilders like, hey, what are you doing? Like, are they paying you? And so the word kind of got around. And so eventually there were other people doing it, but I always got a lot of business because I was always in shape.
Yeah.
I always, I didn't walk around with the torn tank tops and the torn jeans, and I had a nice tracksuit that I would wear.
You look smart.
And so I really wanted to do this and offer a service, like including meeting me at the front desk, because in case the guy at the front desk is in a bad mood, like I want to take care of this person and really protecting them because she's getting hit on from all different angles. And I'm like, dude, like we're trying to train here.
Yeah.
So I was like a bodyguard. Personal trainer. And then I remember, I think it was about 1990, I looked around Gold's Gym and I was like, there are 70 trainers in here training people. At 1 to 7 o'clock in the morning, 70. And so the gym saw that as well. They got us all together in a room and said, hey, we're going to start charging you guys $250 a month in order to train people here.
Right.
So they made $25,000 a month just from that
personal training.
decision.
Wow.
So I think they're going like, wow, we need to support the trainers.
Right.
And we can make this
So
money.
you almost invented personal training
Oh,
at Gold's.
Yeah, like I said, that word didn't exist.
Yeah.
It was just something that I did. And then later with Body by Jake, do you remember him?
Yeah.
So he was kind of the one that started calling it personal training.
Right.
And so it kind of took off. There were no certifications. There was nothing. I mean, if somebody hired me because they liked the way I looked, you look like you know what you're doing. And so can you train me? And then I got a contract with Paramount Studios to train their actors for different roles.
Oh, wow.
And one of the first one was Michael T. Williamson, who was Bubba Shrimp in Forrest Gump.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I'm not sure. I think that was about in the late 80s when that movie came out. So no one else was.
Forrest Gump? No, it was 90s.
Was it?
Yeah.
It might be fun to look that up because I remember he was going to that audition
90s.
and he came back and I said, hey, how'd that audition go? He goes, it's a war movie with Tom Hanks and, you know.
So, like, 94.
Oh, it was 94.
Yeah.
I was wrong. But anyway, so I worked with Michael T. Williamson for a long period of time, and he did a number of movies and worked for Paramount. And then Paramount hired me to work with a bunch of different actors. And pretty soon the gym was full of actors. Dennis Hopper was a really good friend of mine. We played golf together at the Beverly Hills Country Club. I mean, it was just a fun time. Keanu Reeves was in there. Michael Douglas was in there. All these people, you know.
Wow.
So it was a good time.
Yeah, I mean that whole thing, because you know I did the same for Warner Brothers like years later, but that must have been the first time that happened with the Paramount contract, actually taking note of like bodybuilding as a way to prepare actors for movies.
Yeah.
I'm sure it still happens a lot there now at Gold's, and of course,
absolutely.
It's not a huge part of what we do at Pharos, but it's definitely still a part of what we do, like training actors to get in shape. And it's almost, the sad thing now is it's almost come full circle because of CGI and AI. It's like they almost don't have to get in shape anymore because they know in editing they can just change it anyway. Yeah. Because I work with a bunch of people like that. Just honestly, Pete, like they'll just change it anyway. So I'm not that. It's like they can just take stuff out, put stuff in, and it's kind of like ruined it but there's something very, there's something very authentic and real about, like, if you see a superhero on screen. So I'll take the example of Henry Cavill in the Man of Steel movie, who looked great, did a ton of good work for that movie. It makes it more believable. There's something just when someone has prepared for a role, they've worked hard, they've got in shape, they look physically impressive on screen, it makes the whole thing more believable. Yeah. If it's just CGI and it's CGI, it's like, you don't fall for it,
Well, so I think one of the very first people that shocked the industry of conditioning and muscles was Linda Hamilton in the Terminator.
Yeah, Terminator 2. Yeah.
So she was a friend of ours at the time. And she was talking about how she needed to get in shape for this. And she knew I was a trainer. And she said, hey, can you train me for this role? Unfortunately, the studio had a trainer that worked with her. And I didn't get to for that movie.
Right.
That might have changed the whole trajectory of my career, which is who knows what that looks like. But it was fun to still see the transformation. And obviously her in that movie, everybody was shocked. Like,
oh, yeah, she looked great.
Gosh.
Yeah. Well, there was her and there was Demi Moore in G.I. Jane, right before that. Or was it right before or right after? I can't remember, but similar time, but she was in great shape too. Yeah. But yeah, those two, like in terms of female physiques on screen, those two were very impressive. Yeah. And it was, that whole era that I grew up in, in the 80s, like all those action heroes on screen, they all looked great. And it was all very, it was all very impressive and all very, it was all very masculine, obviously. And it was, part of that whole era of this, from like early 80s to probably, mid 90s. Yeah. Everybody, like if you were in an action role, you had to be in shape. Yeah. Well, and it was almost like competitive. There was definitely competition between Arnold and Sly and Bruce Willis. They like always wanted to to each other.
Well, it was another fun thing about Gold's Gym is you'd come into the front desk and just almost every day they had a call sheet where they were looking for a specific bodybuilder, whether it was a really tall, buff one or whether it was a short one. I mean, I'd come in there one day.
Oh, I see. For roles,
for a short, bold bodybuilder. Like, I'm going to go to that call, and I got on commercials and I was in different, sets, and it was just kind of fun.
Extras and stuff.
Yeah, like really fun stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we're now in the mid 80s, and you have a thriving personal training career. Where did that kind of take you? Where did you evolve out of Golds? Like, at what point do we like, okay, I've done everything I want to do here, I'm going to move it to the next phase?
So it had more to do with my life and my relationship and where I was. So I met my wife in
because you're still competing. Sorry, you're still competing through all of this, right?
So my last show was in 2017.
Yeah,
not
right. Yeah.
So it was a 40-year span, and from I think I want to say from about 85 to 95, I did 3 shows a year every year for 10 years.
Wow.
I mean, I just was always competing. And I would try to pick shows, obviously, back to back as close as possible.
3 shows every year a year for 10 years.
For 10 years, yeah. That's how I got to that 30 number. And then I kind of added up. Because one day I was like, how many shows have I actually done?
Right.
But to answer your question, so I met my future wife at a coffee shop in Marina Del Rey. Brought her into Gold's Gym. She felt very comfortable training. And then when we were talking about having children, we knew we needed to move to a little bit more suburbia.
Mm.
So we started looking. She came from Orange County, Huntington Beach, Costa Mesa area. So we decided we were going to move to Huntington Beach, and I still had my business. So we thought about Laguna, but it was just that much further away because now I need to drive in every day.
Mm.
And so for 4 years, I drove an hour in, an hour home on that busy freeway because I had that clientele. So I would work. I'd leave the house at 4:30. I would train clients from 6 until 2, get back on the road, and then start building a business in Orange County. So eventually I can just shift that and stay there completely.
How many clients were you doing a day in your heyday?
Well, so they're all 1-hour sessions.
Yeah.
So I was easily doing 8 hours.
8 hours, 8 clients a day. 8 hours.
And still training myself. So I mean, I spent 10 hours a day for 18 years in that gym.
So to everyone that works for me that complains, 8 hours of personal training a day, that is the expectation from here on out. There you
go. So the tough part about that is I would come home now, and now we're starting to have children, and my wife would be like, "Okay, so what happened at Gold's today?" I'm like, "I'm so talked out."
Yeah.
She's like, "No, you can't be that way. You have to start telling me some stories."
Right.
So I was like, "Okay, I got to really pay attention and tell some stories when I get home." But she just needed an adult to speak to.
Right.
I was talking all day long.
Yeah.
So
if you were doing the 8 hours a day and you were commuting back and forth, when were you fitting in your own training around this?
Well, so I would always take an hour, like usually like at 10 o'clock. Just to be honest,
okay.
I would do 4 clients.
You were still training at Gold's.
And I was training at Gold's Gym. I'd go to the firehouse for breakfast.
Gotcha.
I mean, it was like this whole thing, and then train more clients and then get back on the road before the traffic got really bad, and then train until 8 o'clock at night in Orange County.
Where were you training in Orange County?
It was a powerhouse gym in Fountain Valley. And so I eventually got to a point where I could make that transition. So I was able to sell my clients in Venice.
Right.
And I remember that day, like if I don't have to drive on that freeway again ever, I'm going to be happy about that, So I started working more full-time out of the gyms that were down in Orange County because there was more than one that I was working out of. And even then I started thinking, I was saying to my wife, I said, listen, I can't really control my environment because it's an open gym. There's sweaty stuff happening over here. There's people fighting over here. They have a hard time parking. If the guy at the front desk is in a bad mood, it's like all these different variables. And I really want to be able to take care of them because now I'm starting to charge more and more and more, And so we started talking about what that looked like. And no one had a personal training studio at that time.
Right.
Like I was the very first one in Huntington Beach.
Right.
And so when we decided to do that, take a big leap of faith, and I remember it was 1 mile from my house. And then when we opened the second one, it was a mile in the other direction. Like I was going to keep everything close. I got so sick of driving anyway. But so we did that successfully.
And what year was that? Your first one?
I think it was I want to say it was about 92. Because I remember we had 4 kids and we had our twins were born in 1992. So I kind of remember that as a
because you're right. Like personal training gyms in '92. That was rare. That was rare. Tell me about just to backtrack just a little bit. So I know Gold's like pretty much the Mecca, the first like gym like that. How long did it take for other gyms like that to start like popping up?
Well, so you almost have to go back to, so Joe Gold is the one that opened up Gold's Gym, and he sold it, I would say probably in 1979, 1980. And those guys, 3 guys, were businessmen, and they decided that they were going to blow this up and start licensing it out. And it's funny because the license was like nothing. It was like $5,000, but they made all their money from the t-shirt sales, right? They were supplying all the t-shirts, and those t-shirts are very popular.
Yeah, totally.
The logo,
the classic gold,
the one that looks like me on the logo.
Yeah.
And so Joe Gold saw that, and I think he regretted selling that, and so he opened up World's Gym and put it literally 2 blocks away. And Arnold was loyal to Joe, so Arnold left Gold's and went to World's. And so immediately World's Gym is popular because Arnold's there now, Franco's there, a lot of bodybuilders followed. And then Joe started to license World's Gym. And then these 2 brothers in Detroit, the Davish brothers, opened up a powerhouse. So it was just those 3 in the beginning of that type of a gym. Obviously, there were 24-hour fitness, and those gyms were starting to pop up. Wow. But those were the big 3.
Yeah.
And they were just popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
But nothing. It was still the Mecca. Like nothing compared to that one gym.
Yeah.
And to this day, there's still people coming from all over the world.
Yeah. Still has that lure. Yeah. And I know that they franchised it out, and some of them are okay, and some of them are shitty. But there's nothing like the one in Venice. That's still the place.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. So you opened this place.
It kept on growing on that footprint too. Like if you.
It's big.
So it's like 4
you got that whole outside area
rooms,
now.
like these huge rooms.
I got to go. It's been a few years since I've been, and Venice has changed. Venice isn't the same anymore. But I'd like to go. We should go down together and do it one day. That would be fun.
When I go back, it's like a high school reunion.
Yeah.
Still
see
some
the same
of the
people.
guys that are staff trainers.
Yeah, no, Charles is still there, right?
Yeah,
he's still there. So you opened this personal training gym in the 90s, and when it came to because you got no business model to follow here. Like it hasn't existed before. You're making up. You're pioneering it basically. Yeah. How did you decide to do it? So it's like I'm assuming it wasn't massive. Like
no, it was
2,000 square feet.
1,800 square feet. First one.
And you have how did you approach that? Like what was your kind of like business model of what it was going to look like?
Well, so the one of the biggest reasons was now I was able to give a full experience when that customer came in, and how I could take care of them, and supply them with towels, and a clean facility, no distractions. I mean, people really love that.
Yeah.
And I would say it was probably in about 94 when my wife went on a run, and I kind of told you, like all my best ideas came from my wife when she goes on a run. So we had this husband and wife that were training with us, and they were both paying $90 a piece an hour, and they were both training 3 days a week separately. So 6 days a week times 90 a week, right?
Wow.
They both worked for Boeing. They were making a ton of money. They were making a lot of stock, and they were doing really well. Well, Boeing took a dive about 6 months into our training, and they came to me and they said, "Boy, we got to cut back because we just can't afford it anymore."
Yeah.
And it was Carolyn that said, "Well, why don't you 2 train together?" And up to this point, it's always been one-on-one. And then we'll change your rate so that you're only paying $50 a session instead of 90.
Yeah.
And Paul gets to make 100 instead of 90.
Right. It's better for everybody. Yeah.
And then we did that for about a month. And then the woman said, "Hey, could my sister join us and pay 50?" So now
you're making 150.
Now I'm making 150, and they're happy.
Yeah.
They're saving money like crazy. I mean, everyone's happy.
Yeah.
So I changed my whole business model. Like I didn't give any of my clients a choice. I told them, "This is what we're doing, and it's all good news for you because you now don't have to pay as much. You get the camaraderie of training with other people that you know because you've seen them in the gym. And no one complained, and everybody did it. And all of a sudden, this blew up, and it was like the best idea ever."
So far, guys, Paul invented personal training at Gold's. He invented the first personal training gym, and then invented semi-private training.
Yeah, pretty crazy. I remember telling my wife, because she was helping me train people at this time. And in our gym, our little 18-foot 18 square footprint. She trained 4 people. I was training 4 people. The music was going. Everything was great. I mean, we're basically high-fiving each other in the gym because, I mean, think about that. Everyone's paying $50. It was fantastic.
Yeah, that's the best.
And we literally worked from 6 until 10, and I would close the gym, lock it up, because now we got 4 kids in elementary school. I'd spend a couple hours with them. I'd come back, open it up from 3 and work until about 7 o'clock. That was my schedule. So I could spend time with the kids, and we made that work. And then eventually I hired another trainer to replace my wife so she could spend more time at home with the kids.
Right.
And I finally said after, I think 5-6 years, I go, you know what? I really feel like I can take this business and put it anywhere and it will be successful.
Yeah.
And the nice part is this gym is doing so well that we can afford to do that,
Right.
even if it struggles, you know? So we found our second location and did that. And sure enough, boy, immediately
Took off.
it just was fantastic.
Wow.
And so I had to turn from a personal trainer to a manager to a business leader to a leadership role, because eventually I took myself out of it completely and just, now we have 3 locations and now I'm running a business completely different. But I get to be in my own gym every day still, you know. I like it.
Did it what did the space look like in terms of, like, you know, obviously you can't fit that much equipment in there, so was it more like, you know, you got a couple of squat racks, I'm imagining a couple of lat pull downs, a couple of low cable rows, pretty basic setup? Or
Well, so our business model, we'd split the gym in half, and we'd have upper body here, upper body at the far end, and then there's leg equipment in between that we can share, because I wanted it a completely separate area. Like I don't want this group coming over in the middle of this group. You want to really control your area. And so that's how we set it up. And we would buy equipment where you could do a pull down and then change the seat and be a seated row on the same machine.
Yeah.
The equipment companies started making personal training equipment, right, that could do that. The stacks aren't quite as heavy as the big gyms need. They're a little bit prettier looking. You could do a hamstring curl and a leg extension at the same time, so multi-purpose.
Yeah.
So you didn't need as much of equipment.
Right.
You always had the cable machine that had arms that were multiple. You could change around. You could do so many different things.
Yeah.
Right. So it became a real talent to train 4 people and make them feel like they're getting personal service and control it. I'll tell you, one of the best parts was that I no longer had to talk for 60 minutes.
Because they would talk amongst themselves.
They're talking amongst themselves. And they're not sharing their deep, deep secrets, which tends to happen when it's a one-on-one.
Right.
So it takes that pressure off. So, I mean, as a trainer, it was fantastic.
Yeah, better for everybody again. And you do 4 people max?
Yep,
that 4 people max. Yeah.
And the nice part for them, too, is like, you know, if 7 a.m. has to cancel at the last minute because your kid's sick or whatever, and they typically have to pay for that session for canceling late, we gave them an option. You can come in at 4 o'clock if you want with no penalty, because it's easy to fit you into a group, even if it pushed it to 5 people.
Right.
And the people didn't care because they might be that person that needs to be in there.
Right.
So the camaraderie was just fantastic. And you build a culture of supporting these people, and they support each other. And it was just, I mean, there was no downside.
And how many locations did you end up with in the end? Was it
3.
3. And then, so you've built this successful semi-private business. You've been a successful personal trainer. You're still competing in bodybuilding this whole time. And then on the side, you developed this nutritional company, right?
Right. So
tell me about that.
Well, so my background and my wife's both is in nutrition. And it just made sense. So around 2008, The Biggest Loser came out on TV. And our clients were saying, hey, can we do something like that?
Like a challenge like that?
Yeah. So again, Carolyn, you know, she goes out for a run. She comes home. She goes, I figured it out. This is what we're going to do. You know, we're going to give them menus, grocery lists, recipes to support it. We're going to make it 6 weeks long. We're going to charge this much money. You know, we're just going to give them all these tools. So the first time we offered it, $199, and we had 24 people sign up. And we would take them on hikes and do different things special to that group. They lost 480 pounds in 6 weeks, those 24 people. And everybody in the gym saw that, what was happening, and how they spent time hiking and doing all. And so everyone was like, when are you going to do another one of those? I want to do that because that looked like fun, you know?
Yeah.
And it was a great experience, and it just worked so well. But I vividly remember Carolyn and I both handwriting these menus, like at 6 o'clock and we got to meet them at 7 at the gym. We're just finishing up, we come in there and loose leaf and here's things. And then we just got it more and more organized, the nice binders that they got. And they got weekly menus. So it changed weekly. And it was.
And
just,
the menu is like what they need to prepare on their own, or you're giving them food?
No, 100% making it on their own.
You're just giving them the recipe.
So we would give them 3 different choices of a perfect breakfast.
Okay, got it.
And then we would establish what that looked like in portion size for each person.
Okay.
So we had to come up with that too, and how to do that in a way that works. And so, I mean, there's a lot of back end, obviously, as you know, that needs to happen to make it. And we called it the takedown challenge at the time. And so the second group, there were 56 people that did it. The third time we offered it, there were 76 people that did it. We got up to, there was 175 people one time doing it, because now the town is hearing about it. People are coming in, and we're doing an orientation with, almost 200 people trying to find chairs, how to buy chairs. I mean, it was just crazy how fast it grew, but everyone was just loving it,
Yeah.
So we finally capped it. It was like, okay, we can't do any more than that, because we'd have them come in weekly for a weigh-in, check their journal, give them their next week's menus, grocery list. So
and back then, were you doing calipers? How were you testing body fat?
We were doing circumference measurements, even though I was very good at calipers, but I was the only one that was good at it.
Yeah.
So we figured out a way of doing measurements, which was very tangible, because, you might have someone lose 8 pounds that first week, even though a lot of it is water. Their waist is down 2 inches.
Yeah.
And they're like, the buy-in is huge at that point.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. And we just developed that. And then we found out that people needed more than the challenge. We turned it into a 4-week instead of 6, because a lot of people were hitting their goals 4th and 5th week.
Right.
And so they'd start
falling off.
And we didn't like that. We really wanted everybody to finish together and be powerful.
Yeah. And because beyond that, you then developed kind of like an online personal training, online nutritional company that you can do this remotely, right?
Yeah. So it went from our own gyms, and then now there's other personal trainings across the country. It's a much bigger thing. And we would have gyms hear about it and reach out to us and say, hey, is there any way that we can take your nutrition program and offer it to our clientele without hiring a nutritionist? We don't have that background. So again, my wife, Carolyn, it's like, I'm going to figure out how to do this. And so because it's circumference measurements, it's so easy to teach that.
Yeah.
And she just turned the whole thing virtual and remotely, and we started selling it as a license, and they would offer we changed it from the takedown challenge, because she didn't like the word challenge with food, especially when somebody had a t-shirt once that said, I survived the challenge. She's like, no, that just sounds terrible,
Right.
Like, let's make it more empowering. So we called it the Kickstart. And then that's how we marketed it to these different gyms. And so every May, September, and January, we would launch it as a completely new program, new menus, grocery list, everything to match the seasons. Right, because you got a winter season, summer, spring, summer, and so she would give them all the material. And then we had to build a certification program around it, because we needed to teach them how to sell it, how to service it, and do all that. So it was a big deal.
Right.
But it was fantastic. We had 175 gyms all over North America, including Canada, until the pandemic hit, and 70% of them closed. And so we took a little bit more in house, and so we still have it to this day. It's been, almost 30 years. And we're very
30
much...
years?
Well, from when we started writing hand stuff to our customers back then. So since 2008 was it really this program. And so now, it's done remotely and virtually. We still service gyms, but there's a lot of straight to customer, because now we have coaches all over the country that can service some
online
of our program. Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. And that you still own that whole thing.
Yes, it's called balancedhabits.com, if you will. And I sold the gyms in 2016, and I retired. And my wife, the kids are now older, they're getting married, and she's like, okay, you've had I really want to take the nutrition and turn it into something. So I'm like,
great,
go for it. So it's really her baby, and now I work for her.
Oh, that's great. Wow.
Yeah.
What was it like emotionally when you finally sold the gyms? Because obviously it was your baby, you built it up from scratch. And was it like a mix of emotions of like kind of a relief, but also like
Well,
hard to say goodbye to?
it was very empowering because, so just to put some age to it. So at my 50th birthday, I remember saying to all my friends, my kids, my wife, I said, I'm going to really work hard these next 10 years and build this into a business that I can sell.
Yeah.
I got to take kind of myself out of it. It's not Paul's gym, like I need to have an entity that has value to it that I can sell, which was unheard of at the time. So I did that, and I hired a company that could teach me how to make that happen. And so
like an exit strategy kind of.
Yes, yeah. Teach me about, and because I had to set up systems that someone could just walk in and say, oh, you got a perfect hiring system.
Yeah.
You got a sales system. You got a marketing system. That was important. I had to change my business model of selling sessions to selling contracts so that there was something to sell. Like I have this much in contracts that you're buying, really,
Right.
rather than just the equipment in the building. So we had to build some value there. So I did that. And I remember when I turned 60, my son sitting across from me, because he started working for me, I go, well, today's the day. Like, I'm going to retire today. So I'm either going to sell the gyms or you're going to take it over and you're going to run it and do the whole thing. And he said to me, he goes, I don't want to do this without you.
Yeah.
He said, I've been working with you for 10 years and was a blessing,
Yeah.
He just straight up, like, I don't want to do it without you. So when I sold it, contract was my son was going to stay for a year and work for the new owner just to make it all smooth.
Transition,
so he did that. And then he decided after all that he was going to start his own personal training gym separate from everything. So he left and has done that successfully. And it's super fun for me to see him being so successful using our business model that he actually expanded on and made it better. And uses our nutrition programming to service therapy. I mean, it's just a great story.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Super fun.
So you sell the company, you move to Idlewild. How long after that?
So 2016, we moved to Palm Desert.
Oh, Palm Desert you moved to first, yeah.
Yeah. And no reason. I mean, we'd been in Huntington Beach for 25 years. The kids are all out of the house. They're getting married. We just were looking for something else. And we'd always vacation in the desert. It was easy. And we could still be close to the kids because they're all local. And so we did that for 6 years and then got tired of the summers.
Yeah.
Or because of the heat.
Just
right?
so, yeah.
And we found ourselves coming up here continually. And my wife and I are always like, let's try it.
Yeah.
Like this.
Why not? Yeah.
So she's like, it's the trifecta. We did the beach, we did the desert, now we're going to do the mountain, and we're just loving it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
So
yeah, it's
it was fun for me to find your gym.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I probably would not have moved up here if that gym didn't exist because I need that.
It's a big part of it. It's funny. People are saying the same thing in Palm Springs right now. It's like, I'm actually thinking about moving to Palm Springs because I want to be close to this gym. But, if you're like me or you, like, you have to have that. I mean, that's honestly why I built it, because, we were training in my garage here and, which was fine. Like, I had pretty decent setup. But, it just became the conversation of like, if we're going to really do this and we're going to do this long term, then, I know I need it. I know that there are other people like me that will need it. I think it can work. And it's just such a special place. This town needed a gym, it needed it. And, because it is such a fun kind of space, it's that kind of mix of, the rustic cabin feel of the mountain with the kind of modern equipment kind of feel. And it's like, it's just a fun vibe. And I love training in that gym. I love training in all our gyms, but this one's kind of special. It's my local one, and it's it feels very very homely and very it's a great space. Everything I need in there. Great people, great community, and we love our little mountain town. Yeah. So it's good. And obviously you can, like you were talking about earlier with the hiking and the running, and you can be outdoors. You just got a really good balance and mix of stuff.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So looking back, I mean, it's an amazing career. From Venice Beach, being a professional bodybuilder, starting personal training, kind of almost inventing that personal training system at Gold's, and then doing the semi-private stuff, kind of inventing that situation, building that up, and then the nutritional company, developing that. I mean, you've had like success stories all the way. Looking back, you've got to feel pretty fucking proud.
I really feel like I was able to live my dream.
Yeah. I mean, wow.
And that was good. And one of the funny stories about that was probably for 15 years when I met my wife and I was doing personal training, and no one outside of California had ever really heard about that, what I was doing. And my mom, God bless her, she used to say to me, I would call her every Sunday. She goes, Paul, you got to find a real job.
Yeah.
Seriously. It's like, you got a wife now.
Yeah.
You're going to start having kids. And so for 15 years, I think she said that to me. And I was always saying, Mom, trust me, I got this. This is going to be great. So by the time I had 3 gyms, I had a home that we were able to buy. We had 4 children. We're doing the nutrition now. I never forget the one day my mom finally said, boy, you sure picked the right industry.
Yeah.
I was like,
thank you. Finally.
Oh my gosh.
Finally.
That was hilarious.
Well, I mean, congratulations, man. It's an amazing story. And it's so good to talk to someone who's like been in the industry for so long and walked away with it with the success and not walked away jaded.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people walk away jaded, and it all comes down to really the business plan and not being smart with it. And you were very smart with it. A lot of people I know kind of opened CrossFit gyms in the 2000s, the 2010s. And, they did it out of love. They did it out of passion. But the downfall was the business side. Like the numbers just didn't add up.
Yeah.
The business side of it just didn't add up. And then you end up burnt out, jaded, and just pissed off just because, you just
saw that a lot.
Yeah. And like you said, people forget what happened during the pandemic, which is 70% of gyms closed. I mean, it's crazy. And, we can't forget that. Like, thank God we survived, and we're still surviving. We're not out of the woods by any means. Like we took a big hit, and we're going to be paying off that debt for a long time. So it's, it was a huge thing. But the way that you've navigated it and, thrived with it all is kind of inspirational for me as a gym owner, obviously, that it can be done. And I know a lot of you guys that are watching that do own gyms. Like, can this be done? Is there a way to grow? And, because what I also love about this story is Paul was always had integrity in his business. He didn't sell it out. He provided a great service to his members. Everybody got great results. Everybody enjoyed being there. He managed to be the man, as in Paul, of the gym, but he wasn't like the only thing that mattered about that business. Just like I don't want to be the only thing that matters, and Emily doesn't want to be the only thing that matters to Fetters. There are businesses within themselves, and we have great teams of great people who are in this organization. And you managed to grow it in a way that you could build it, satisfy everybody, and then walk away proud and everyone's happy.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing story because it's very rare that happens.
Well, you have to be willing to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I was really good at taking direction. I was very easily admit what I don't know, and I would search that out. When I hired that company, it was not an easy thing. So this was in the mid 90s. It was going to be $30,000. And I said to my wife, I go, I'm going to treat it like I'm going to college. Like, because I feel confident that they have the tools and the knowledge of what I need, because I didn't have a degree in business, And so I did. And for 3 solid years, I took direction well. I did the homework. I made the meetings. I did whatever it took to be successful and be able to offer a better service to my customers. At the end of the day, that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
One of my favorite sayings is, no one cares what you know until they know that you care, right? I mean, even in the beginning, I used to hire the trainers that had the best certifications and degrees, but if they didn't have empathy, if they didn't care about the customers are going to know that right away, right? And they're not going to want to train with that person because they realize that they don't really care about them. So it got to a point where that wasn't as important as it was the personality of the person you're hiring, that they really love people, love servicing people, see the value of how they can change somebody's life, have that empathy. They made great trainers, and the rewards came with it.
Do any of the when you sold the business, are any of the trainers that you hired still? Are those gyms are still open? I take it.
Yeah.
Do they still work there?
They do.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, because I kind of built it up so it would be a great career for the trainers as well. So with the semi-private format, I was able to pay them maybe a little bit more than they were than they were trying to make on their own. Plus, they had a clean facility to work out, so you didn't have to go home and think about it. I did all the marketing. We did all the sales because, let's be honest, some people don't enjoy sales. All they want to do is come in and do their job. And I'm like, great, let's just be clear. I'm going to give you the best possible environment to do that job and just take care of my customers. Right?
Yeah. And you found that you were able to provide a livable wage for those coaches?
Yes.
Yeah, because that's key.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, as a business owner, they're representing you.
Yeah.
So if they're happy and you can make them happy and it's a good team, then your customers are going to feel that.
Yeah. What was like a top coach that was working for you? What were they making a year? Do you know?
Do we really want to talk about that?
I'd like to just throw out a number.
Yeah. So
I
remember I had a gal who was quite the hustler, and one of the nice things about semi-private is if they had 4 in their group as opposed to 3, they would make a little bit extra money, right? So it was incentive for them to keep 4, so they were on the phone, they were, supporting their customers. That customer didn't leave until they had another appointment, and so they would make the most amount of money. And I know one of our trainers was making $100,000 easy every year.
That's what I was going to say. I bet if you put the hustle in, you really work for it, you can make $100,000 a year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but it's got to equate to the business, right? You're supporting yourself, you're supporting the business as well. So, I mean, I wanted to give her as many tools as possible to be successful in that environment.
Right. Yeah, that was always like our thing at Paris. Like, part of it is to provide a great space for members, but part of it is to provide a great space for great coaches to thrive and do their business. And that's a huge part of it, because that really is the business. Like, people will go to great gyms, but people really follow great coaches.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you can provide the kind of space that great coaches want to work in, then that's kind of half the battle. And then it's like, great space, great coach, great programming, great experience,
Yeah.
kind of done. So that's kind of what our goal, albeit like a slightly different model. But, what I love about your way of doing it and your system is very controlled. Like, it was a great business to build, to market, and also sell, because it's very kind of like, it all fits.
Yeah.
It's kind of like simple in the setup. These are the hours. These are the max per session. This is the amount. It's very kind of like replicable.
Yeah.
And I know, like, a lot of the businesses that we work in, because we're in, a few masterminds, and a lot of those masterminds are in that semi-private, business model, which you kind of fashioned. And it's a very, and I know a lot of people, watching this, who own gyms, a lot of them have either brought in the semi-private thing into their business, or have transitioned their gym to a semi-private facility just because it works, in the way that you're saying it works. Yeah. It's better for the trainer, it's better for the trainee, it's better for the whole environment of the gym, and it's very, it's very manageable. It's an easy thing to manage. Yeah.
Yeah, we had people would come in and they'd say, no, I only want one-on-one training. And then I would take them out on the gym floor and introduce to a group 4 going on. And those people would sell them just because talking about how great it was, Yeah. It allows them to stay longer. They can maybe come more often. It's just more affordable for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'll tell you another quick story how semi-private did after me telling Carolyn, please don't tell anyone what we're doing. That company that I hired for the business mentors. Yeah. They flew me out to Orlando because they were having a convention, and they were having all their other gym owners that they had at that time. So it's at this auditorium, and they had me get up and speak about my business model. But I was ready by then, and no one lived by me, so I was ready to share. Right. And I could just, you got some gym owners sitting there, they're like a little bit bored, and then I started telling them what I'm doing, and they're like, wait, what? Like, and you could see everybody on stage. Yeah. And then afterwards, they all came up to me like, you got to tell me more about that. Like, that sounds amazing. Yeah. And then, ironically, I started getting hired to those different gyms on how to transition into semi-private, because they have a lot of questions, Yeah. I mean, you can't just take a trainer who's used to doing one-on-one and stick them in front of 4 people and say, okay, give them a personal service.
It's a different skill set.
It's mind-blowing,
Well, here's the good news, guys. You can hire Paul at Paris Idlewild to do semi-private training as well as personal training. Yeah. That's now available. And like I said, for me, it's fantastic to have you up here just as a friend, but also as someone that I can ask questions to, because you had this success and all these great stories. And it's a great, I think it's obviously a great privilege for everyone who's in Idlewild that does want personal training, that Paul is going to be, available to help you guys. And he's just a great guy to have around in the Idlewild gym. He always happily answer questions or give advice, whether it's nutrition or training. So that's, that's a privilege for us all. So thank you for that.
Whether they want to hear it or not sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Any other little piece of advice, either for gym owners or for people who are just trying to get in shape in general?
Boy, I would say simplicity and consistency is really important. I mean, being consistent is way more important than being perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, there's times where I don't feel like going into the gym, but I do because I've made a commitment to myself. And keeping my word to myself is a great place to start, but being able to keep word to other people.
Right.
So, being committed to a goal and seeing it for what it is. Like when I pick a goal, I literally pick it a year from now. Like, where do I want to be a year from now? Am I going to reach that goal, or am I going to be wishing that I had done what it takes to get to that point? So anybody who's starting training or needs to lose weight or wants to gain muscle, whatever the goal is, think about it a year from now. Where do you want to be? Do you want to say that you're this much closer to it, or are you going to be wishing that you had started a year ago? And that is even for business.
Totally.
Like, you should have a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year vision of what that business should look like and be slowly working, chipping away at it. Don't get caught up in the 5 year plan. Like, what can I do today or this week in order to be successful? And that's true in nutrition. It's true in personal, in your own strength training. Nothing happens fast.
Yeah.
In this sport. Like, you can't train a week and go home and see a difference. You're like,
yeah,
you got to be consistent.
And the other thing that I want to just reiterate, because we talked about it earlier in the podcast, is this concept of longevity that Paul had, because he didn't do the extreme thing. He did the smart thing. Especially when we talked about nutrition, he had a very balanced nutritional approach. He didn't starve himself. He made sure his body was fed. He never went to the extreme, so he never had that miserable experience that a lot of people have with a relationship with food. It was very kind of like, yes, hard, yes, strict, but not terrible. You're not destroying your body for the sake of a body composition. You're just being smart with it, being intelligent with it, and thinking about the long game. Like, you can't do 44 bodybuilding shows. You can't do 3 bodybuilding shows a year for 10 years if you're not smart with your nutrition and you're not taking care of your body. Look at Paul. This is a 70-year-old man who's strong as fuck, who's competed his whole life, successful businesses, successful family, and he was just smart. He was consistent. He was balanced. I think we always look for the extremes in things. It's like, what's the most extreme way to work out? What's the most extreme version of nutrition? How can I get fit tomorrow?
Yeah.
Like, you got to play the long game with this stuff. Don't think about like what you're going to look like next week. Think about what you're going to look like next year. Like, it's the long game that matters in the end. So take note of this guy.
Yeah, it has to be sustainable, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you hear these extreme diets, even if you're successful to a certain extent, at some point you can't maintain that and you go back to regular eating. So there's no wonder that people rebound terribly in a lot of cases. So having something that you can do in your lifestyle day in and day out that's relatively easy. And I'll tell you, one of the best things that we ever came up with our nutrition company was that our personal saying is, there's no such thing as bad foods, there's only bad portion size. So imagine the freedom in that. If you understand your portion size, it allows you to have some of the foods that you really enjoy, as long as you aren't overeating it. And I'll give you an example. So I've always liked steak. If I eat 5 ounces of steak, that's never going to hurt me. I could literally eat that every day and it'll never hurt me, because it's like throwing it in a furnace. My body's going to use every part of that and it's never going to hurt me. But if I eat 12 ounces, which is easy to do, and a lot of times a portion size, that's twice as much as my body can handle. And that's what clogs things up. That's what slows your system down. That's the problem, right? You could have a tablespoon of peanut butter with every single meal, never hurt you. But if you sit down to half a jar, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So if you kind of keep that mentality, you don't have to give up the things you enjoy. Just understand portion sizes and understand balance. Like, there's a reason that the 3 macronutrients, the protein, carbs, and fats, are important, because when you eat the 3 together, there's a cascade of chemical responses that happen that are supposed to happen, that satiate you, that helps for your fuel to last over a longer period of time. I mean, there's just a lot of good things that can come from that.
Yeah.
Rather than doing these, watermelon diets or, starvation or whatever it happens to be. There's a 24 different diets out there.
Yeah. 2 diets a week.
That you just can't maintain.
Yeah, you can't maintain it.
Yeah. And even the training too, I tell people all the time, I say, listen, a couple of days a week for 30 minutes is 100% more than nothing.
Yeah.
And that will make a difference. And the older you are, the bigger difference it'll make. I think a lot of people think, oh, I'm 60. I shouldn't start because it's too difficult. No. You start and you will make a bigger difference quicker than the 30-year-old that starts.
Yeah.
Like that's amazing.
Yeah. So listen to the 70-year-old who's been doing this his whole life and stop listening to 24-year-olds on TikTok. That's that's the key. All right, guys, that's it for today, Paul. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's great.
There's
really
so much good info in this podcast. We'll do it again. We'll do it again in the future. We didn't even get really into like the specifics of training and sets and reps and all that kind of stuff. So we'll do another podcast on that. Like I said, Paul has a wealth of knowledge, years of experience, both as a bodybuilder and as a an industry specialist and as an owner of businesses. So we got lots to talk about. So hope you enjoyed that podcast. Like I said, a ton of good stuff in here. Paul, where can people follow you or reach you?
Well, at Paul Fetters on Instagram or Paul Fetters on Facebook. And you can Google me and you'll see me all over the place. And also balancedhabits.com is our nutrition programming. And I'm all over that as well.
And OnlyFans? Any OnlyFans?
Nope.
No OnlyFans. All right, no OnlyFans, I'm afraid, guys. All right, thanks, guys. Come see us in Ferris, Idlewild. If you want to come hang out with me and Paul in the mountains, come lift with us up here. It's always good to see you guys. Always good to have you in the fresh air of the mountains. Come see us in Palm Springs at our new facility down there. Awesome facility. Love that gym. I think you guys are going to really dig it. Our baby in Echo Park, the original, on Glendale Boulevard. Come see us there. I'll be there Friday morning, and I'll be on Friday afternoon this week. And all through August, I will be, and I think Paul's going to come down on Friday. We're going to be in Redondo Beach for our dad's club, which is going to be at 1:30 p.m. on Fridays throughout August. So it's free. Come, hang out, shoot the shit, lift some weights, have a chat, and we'll probably go for a bite to eat afterwards. So it'd be good to see you guys there. But until next time, take care and see you in the gym.